stop selling yourself short. The last 3 years, you've thought the smart thing to do was to forget about all of your value you have that you were born with, that you were gifted. Throw all that in the bin and sacrifice it for $25 an hour. You've been taught that you need to go to a job and work for them to make scraps. Because that will allow you to then save it all up and buy a house and live happily ever after and retire with maybe 5 years of freedom. I'm here to tell you today, you're kind of wasting your time. Well, no, you are wasting your time the more shifts you go to, in which is just allowing you to turn your brain off and go autopilot and complete such meaningless tasks which don't give you any value. You do know that every single time you go to one of these shifts, you are sacrificing your own self-improvement, your own personal growth for money to help maybe buy a house or buy that next materialistic item, which you quite frankly don't really need. If I was to ask you right now, what do you really need money for other than food and shelter and transportation? Is there any other needs or are they just wants? Instant gratification, concert tickets, alcohol, video games, this new hoodie. So let's go back to the needs. Okay, you need money for shelter. Majority of you probably still live at your parents' house, so that box is ticked. You need money for food. If you're really, really locked in with your gym and diet, okay, maybe you do buy your own groceries. But for majority of you, I doubt you're at that level of buying your own groceries yet. The final one being transportation. Okay, if you have a car, you need to pay for fuel, but it's not as much money as you think it is. So we compare the needs and the wants, and we start to think, holy shit, this whole time I've been spending most of my money on wants. Just because this job has given me the opportunity to be more likely to indulge in instant gratification because I just feel comfortable. So now think, you're working a job which you hate, you're not building skills, and all of that money you're getting is going to wants and not needs. This job is also taking your time, which is the most important asset and not money. Time is what you should be striving to have most of in your 20s. 30, 40, 50, 60 hours a week. All of those hours, no matter how much money you make, if you hated the quality of those hours, if you didn't like the problems you were solving, was it really worth living for? Because now it allows you to buy something which you don't really need? Every time you clock in, every time you clock out, you've just given the boss help. You didn't build any value for yourself. You didn't really learn anything new. You just made a trade with the boss. You said, hi boss, here, you can take all of my time and energy for a little paper dollar note. Let's make that trade. And the boss looks at you smiling because he wins. And you lose on a very, very, very micro level, which gets compounded day after day, week after week. The boss's return only goes bigger and bigger because you're giving him your life force. This is something which I've had so much purpose and fulfillment sharing because younger Adrian used to be stuck in the same position, going to his job at the supermarket, stacking shelves, saying to himself, okay, next week I'm gonna quit, and then I'm gonna start my YouTube channel and start recording myself speak because I feel like I have so much to share. I'm gonna do it. But then I'll get my paycheck. It was actually kind of nice. It was pretty comfortable. Oh, yes, I got this much money this week. Now I can afford to go to this footy game and go to the club and buy this amount of drinks instead of this much. Yes, 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 yes. I would say to myself for 8 months in a row that I'm going to quit my job and start this journey of entrepreneurship. I wasted 8 months for a little bit of extra money. And I don't want you to make the same mistake I did, because I can look back now and say, if I was to quit my job, my like part-time job 8 months sooner, that would only result in this much more personal growth, this much more stories, this much more experiences, this much more happiness to put into my family, my friends, my relationships. But I didn't think like this 8 months ago. I was taught that the smarter thing to do was to work for money and to not work for myself. Your brain is probably getting hit and targeted right now with so many limiting beliefs that I won't be able to battle and conquer throughout this whole video. I know I'll be able to defeat a couple. Let me tell you right now that the most important thing that you should actually be doing instead of going to these shifts is building your own value, becoming more knowledgeable, chasing more experiences, going on that date, going to that restaurant, actually living and doing what you feel like is the right move to do on the chessboard. Because let's be real, every single time you'd go to this shift, deep down on a subconscious, deep level, you knew this wasn't the most productive way to spend your time. Tell me if I'm wrong, because I know for younger Adrian, he knew every shift that he could be doing something else which would progress his self-improvement a lot more faster. You know, by going to this shift, it's actually not the smartest move to make. And if you're a truly masculine guy, we care so much about making progress. So don't you want to make progress faster? Don't you want to work smarter other than working harder? Ask yourself that question. Do I want to work smarter or do I want to work harder? What is a law of human nature? Oh, we all love doing the easiest route instead of going the... Why run through pins and needles when I can run in clouds and rainbows? Okay, Adrian said, focus on self-improvement. But how can I actually build my value up? If I do not go to these shifts, I'm going to have an extra 20, 30 hours a week. What do I do in that time? I started reading because, quite frankly, I was pretty dumb. And yeah, I would train my muscles, but I would never train my brain. I hadn't picked up a book since high school when I read my first book back in 2022. Because I thought books were a waste of time. I thought all books were boring. But little did I know that the more I got deep into these books, the more I completed them and read them over and over and over again, started highlighting, started taking notes. I became more knowledgeable. I became like a whole lot more smarter with whatever I was learning about, whether it be about masculinity, purpose, business, social skills, human behavior, psychology, so many things I had no idea about and I thought meant nothing when I was working these shifts. I thought, listen to this, I thought I was so smart and intelligent that I was going to all of these shifts. But I look back now, I compare myself, present Adrian, to younger Adrian, and holy shit, he was a dumbass that was getting used this whole time by the boss. You get paid for the problems you solve. What were the problems I was solving at my part-time job? I'd get a crate, I'd wheel it into like aisle 6, pick up a product, unbox it, put it on a shelf. In return, I'd get $25 an hour, which maybe in your position you're saying, what, $25 an hour? That's so much. It is for like a 16-year-old, but when you start to get older, you start to realize, holy shit, this isn't gonna work. So I started reading books. I started reading books about relationships because that's something I used to struggle severely with. Currently reading The Art of War by Sun Tzu. The Prince by Niccolo Machiavelli. A book which I speak about a lot on this channel, The Way of the Superior Man by David Data. Read this book 3 times. Yes, I've highlighted a lot. The Bible. Highly recommend this. I started becoming addicted to reading. Believe it or not, even in my shifts at work, you know what I'd do? I'd bring a book and I'd try read as much as I can during the shift. I would hide in the toilets and read. That's how dissatisfied I was and wanted to get out as fast as possible. When was the last time you read? Are you reading at your job? I know that is probably the most important move you can make right now. I'm sure you have at least an hour of spare time. What if you were to replace that hour with 1 hour of reading? Now you're starting to build the habit. Oh my God, now I actually want to read. Now I'm actually in my room and there's no boss trying to tell me off if I'm reading. I can just read whenever. Start reading. Start becoming more interesting. Start to feel like you're the guy who has something to share. Because the more I would read, it actually improved my social life because I became more interesting. I was able to tell more stories. I was able to share what I've learned in a book and to motivate my friends to read it as well. I became the interesting individual and I was once the boring individual. You can make the change. And believe it or not, when you become a bit more interesting, you can share it now through platforms online like YouTube, like TikTok, like in so many platforms. That is the recipe. And yeah, it's not easy. Yeah, you're not going to make, if not any money at the start. But believe it or not, you are going to be so much more happier now that you're working for yourself. Now that you have more energy, now you have this zest. You're ambitious. You're now 20 times more attractive to the opposite sex because they see you working hard on your actual purpose and not a job which is purely just for money. It's a trade worth making. I know for me, when I could pick up a book and complete it, it felt like I was a step closer to leaving my job. And it's what happened. I left. And no, I'm not some successful millionaire entrepreneur. I just feel like I have the balls and courage to share my journey and where I'm currently at. And the progress I have made in my own self-improvement, I feel like it can help you. I'm here to tell you today that reading is one of the best investments of time you can make. And start small. I know when you pick up a book for the first time, it can be pretty intimidating. But set yourself a little goal of, okay, I'm going to read 10 pages tonight. And once I can get the gist of that, I'll start reading a chapter a day. Heck, I'll start finishing a book every week. The compound effect will take its course. And your brain now is going to shit on younger you's brain. you've just like erased over 60% of the limiting beliefs you've once had just because you picked up a book. How crazy is that? How crazy is that? I am so grateful younger Adrian would watch similar videos like this 2-3 years ago, which would encourage him to read a book, because it helped me climb out. You always find advice you need at the right time. Maybe you were destined to watch this video to help motivate you and to give you this pathway of what the next step is. I want you to stop selling yourself short and for you to start building yourself up. Complete those books. Complete those gym sessions. Get your full 8 hours of sleep so you're not sleep deprived every single morning like you've been. Get the systems and habits in place. And over time, this will almost unlock a new level and personal growth. You're going to wake up every single morning happy to work on your business, your purpose, your progress. Don't be the guy who always says, I'll do it later, I'll do it later. That never works. Later is just an excuse for never. What is stopping you right now from going on Booktopia like I did and buying every single book that I did? I'm kind of going to gatekeep all the books I have shared if this is your first time watching my type of videos. But just know I've shared so many books in all of my previous videos. Build yourself up. Improve on your skills. And become the best at them. And over time, you will reap the rewards which you truly deserve. You're not going to be selling yourself short. You're going to be building yourself up to someone who will become invincible. Stop selling yourself short. I hope this video motivated or educated you. I'm currently doing one-on-one coaching mentorship. It will be the first link in the description. Also, make sure to click the subscribe button and also that little bell icon. So you're kind of like reminded when I do post these types of videos, and you can watch them and educate yourself as soon as humanly possible. Other than that, I'll see you in the next video.